look at what Brad Holmes does. We're talking about this behind the scenes. What do you think, legitimately, you think they're going to do in round one? What is the options you think the Lions are going to do?
See, for the longest time, I've been, because, we all know this is going to be an offense-heavy first round. I mean, like, it was tweeted out today by Adam Schefter. He reckons the record of 19 offensive players is going to be broken in this draft. There's going to be teams going up for it. And what it's going to do, in my eyes, is it's going to push the defensive talent down the draft. Like I've seen guys like Jared Verse, Johnny Newton, all these guys mocked outside the first round, because when you take all the good corners into consideration, you've got a lot of offensive players, you've got a lot of corners going. All of a sudden, those D linemen start to fall for you. And I've been thinking like this for a long time. I think you're going to get to 20. I think you're going to get to 21, especially to a team like the Dolphins. They've got 6 picks in this year's draft because they forfeited one because of all that, weird stuff they did with Tom Brady, etc. If you get to that point and you're like, well, there's someone there who I just really want to go and get, especially if it's an edge player, if Lau's there, if Versa's there, and you want your bookend to Hutch, go up and get them. Like, you're trying to finish this team off, not stockpile a whole load of picks, because a whole load of picks aren't going to make the roster this year. I think this is about refinement. So if all this is to be true, I think I'm going to be justified right. I think they're going to trade up, and I think they're going to get some of this talent that's unjustly going to fall into our reach, as we've seen like in multiple years now. Like Branch last year fell to us when we really shouldn't have got him, and we passed on him, to be fair. But that is genuinely what I think they're going to do. They're going to sit there like a little Venus flytrap, and then when someone falls, they're going to strike out. They're going to grab them. So
I think I'm with you. I feel like they're going to trade up too. It's just got that feeling, right? They're going to trade up and try to get a splash move or get a good defensive player. It makes a lot of sense to do something like that. And there's a couple good players the Lions could trade up for, right? Quinn Young-Mitchell, I absolutely like. Jared Verse, who I like. What are players you'd want the Lions to trade up for?
Well, I'd say that those are the two. Jared Verse and Jer'Zhan Newton are the two that I've been banging the hammer and tongs for a long time. They are difference makers on your defensive line. Like, I know we got Reader here now, but you put Newton, Reader, and Aleem in the center of that defensive line, then
that's nasty.
Yeah, you're going to be sending quarterbacks to hospital. Like, you're going to have Reader in there controlling against the run. They all have pass rush upside, but like Johnny's just something he's just next level when it comes to the disruption that he causes on that line. He's going to be the perfect complement. You rotate these guys in and out, keep them fresh. Then will be a menace to society. And likewise, if Verse falls, like, he is a top 10 pick in my book.
Yes.
He is good. But because guys are falling, and because you're going to have a couple like Dallas Turner's there, Latu technically might have the higher ceiling if that next day's all right, it's going to push them down, because you've got loads of offensive line needy teams in the teens who are going to start going there. You've got loads of receivers, loads of quarterbacks. You might have the second-tier quarterbacks come into play. And guys like this are just going to fall, and they're going to put you in a position where you can go. Would I make the move for Quinn Young-Mitchell like a lot of teams are doing? Might be too high for him. I've always said if we're going to go somewhere in the 20s, because it's not going to cost you as much, because we don't have the capital behind really to risk that. But like, some of these guys are going to be available at 20, I reckon, and you go up and get them. So Verse and Newton would be the ones I'd definitely do it for. Outside of that, I would then probably stick and wait to 29.
Those would be a great project. Jer'Zhan Newton on this defensive line would be ridiculous, man. And that's what we need. We need pressure from the interior. We need to get hitting the quarterback. And I would absolutely love that move if they went out and they got a Newton, or, me, Jared Verse. I love it. I think it's a realistic option for the Detroit Lions. I know they say, oh, we're good with Marcus Davenport. Oh, we got DJ Reader. Come on, man. Like, we can get even better. Let's make this defensive line ridiculously scary. Like, if we can get and attack the quarterback, this defense will take a significant jump. Just the pressure on the quarterback, it will help the secondary players out. And I do think the Lions obviously going to address secondary in the draft. Oh, it would be a great move to go up and get a Newton or a Verse. It legitimately could be. And I would adore that move. It would be great to see it on the defensive line. Kool-Aid McKinstry, if the Lions are staying there, I do think he's going to be available. It's going to be close. Where are some other cornerbacks, right? We know Rex Straw. We know Kool-Aid McKinstry. We like Nate Wiggins. I don't think he's going to fall to the Lions at 29. I just think he'll be taken before. But if he is, that would be fire. What is some other options for the Detroit Lions in that secondary?
I mean, if you wanted to go really out there, there'd be two who I would because again, if McKinstry and the likes are there, you go for them. But I think there's two picks for me which would get me in trouble. But I too generally believe at 29 they will be good. The first, and I know I mentioned this to you before we started, Max Melton is a prospect who I think they will love. We did a show last week about where prospects in the draft, their best fits and best teams they will go to. Max Melton has the competitiveness and the love for football, and he plays at such a high tempo, throws himself into the run game. Like, he is a player who Dan Campbell would adore until the end of time. He plays both man and zone coverage in the backfield. Guy who Aaron Glenn's going to love and adore till the end of time because he appreciates that versatility, and he's a big need for the Detroit Lions. He fits like all the little hooks you want in there, and he's sneaking into first round conversation now on a lot of mocks I see, and I think rightly so. He's completely underrated because people helmet scout Rutgers, and like Rutgers have produced some very good DBs over the last few years. I would take Max Melton at 29, and I would not feel bad about it. I think that's the kind of move that Helms and Campbell would do that others wouldn't see, that would make sense. The other one, because we haven't talked about safety a lot, but we have no safety depth next year at all, and we are relying on Iffy being better, Iffy being as good as he was last year, and we're relying on Kirby having his third year bounce after a second year down. Outside of that, you've got nothing. So then you take a look at Tyler Newbin, and you're thinking, well, maybe not at 29 if you go trade back a bit, but if you are going to make, a splash at 29, I think Tyler Newbin's in play there as well. He is a sensational safety, coming from another system that just produces bona fide NFL level talent year after year after year. Minnesota, the Golden Gophers are great. They're great at developing their guys. I think he would be in that conversation as well because, again, I think he fits the mold of what Holmes and Campbell like. So outside of all the big names and that, if you're looking for people to sneak in who they're not looking at, I think Max Melton and Tyler Newbin would be right there. And I wouldn't honestly be disappointed with either of them.
Hashtag FGB, what player would you surprise if we drafted at 29? I'm going to do a player that everybody's having the Lions draft, and that's Chop Robinson. I see a lot of people thinking that's who the Lions are going to take. I'd kind of be shocked if they took him a little bit. I definitely got higher grades than some other pass rushers, and I know a lot of people think that's a good spot for the Lions. I just would be a little bit shocked there. TJ Tampa as well, a cornerback. I'd be shocked if they took him at 29. What are some players you'd be shocked the Lions to take at 29?
I'd be shocked if they went edge because, quite frankly, I don't think there's any good edges at 29. Like, I've made my thoughts clear on Chop Robinson. Like, he's all athlete, no production.
You gotta have production, dude.
Yeah, if you're picking in the first, you've got to have he's not got production. And I watch him play, and even Risden said it, he looks like he doesn't know how to play football. Like, he's an athlete. That is it. And he's coming from a system that's got history, but you can't just look at, he's a Penn State defender, he's going to be fine. He's not. And if you're not picking him, you're picking Darius Robinson. And everyone goes, oh, yeah, Darius Robinson, he has inside-out versatility. No, he doesn't. And this annoys the hell out of me. Everyone goes, he can play inside as well as outside. He played 4 years inside before he went outside this year. You know what? He had about 6 tackles for loss and 4 sacks in 4 years. Played inside. He can't play inside. It's like when Levi was in college and got played at nose tackle. Just because he played there doesn't actually mean he can play there. He was put there, but he didn't play well. Darius Robinson does well on the edge, but he's got 1 year of production there in 5. That's it. Not spending 29 on that. Don't tell me he's got inside-outside versatility because he's no good on the middle. So I'd be surprised if they took an edge there. They don't. It's not the modus operandi of what they do. They pick guys with bona fide production this high up, and neither of them have it over time.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, look, man, I would like Darius Robinson. I think that'd be a good pick too. Maybe you're not as high as him. I think that'd be much better than Chop Robinson, even though I like Jared Verse a little bit more. Obviously, what's your thoughts on Cooper from Texas A&M? Mike in the Ant-Man. What do you think about Cooper from Texas? Because he's
Oh,
asked us now a couple
I
times.
like Edgar and Cooper. He's kind of in the mold of like the Peyton Wilson type. You can play him on the air. He's kind of like a little bit of a hybridy guy. His future is going to be an inside linebacker, but you can do stuff with him on the outside, like as well, especially straight away. So, yeah, I do like him. I don't think I've really ever mocked him to us or anything. It'd be day 2 if we did. I wouldn't do it at the end of round 1. But I like guys in that mold. Ed Green Cooper, Peyton Wilson. They are strong inside linebackers, and they'll be future captains on teams. But you can move them around a bit, which makes them really dangerous. I do like him.
The odds, it's odd I haven't picked 29. Doesn't even feel like a first round pick from James Janela. It doesn't. It reminds me of like when we got Jameson Williams with the 32nd pick, and you're just like, oh man. But then like we could use it as trade bait. It legitimately like I do believe the Lions are not staying at 29. I think they do trade up. I think they like if I'm a betting man, that's what I'm gonna bet. And we won't have the 29th pick just because there is, like you're saying, there's going to be some defensive talent that gets pushed down because of all this offensive talent getting drafted. So why instead of get like, I don't know, the third best edge when you can get the first best edge, just going up some spots, right? Or if you want to get an interior defensive lineman or whatever you want to get, why don't you get the number 1 if you only got to give up, I don't know, a third round pick or something like that?
And we're quite lucky because there are a lot of teams, especially in those teens, who need to trade down. Like you look at the Broncos, like they've traded away everything essentially. They've got no second round picks. They're not picking till nearly 100 after they're at 12. They need to trade back and recoup capital. You look at the Saints. The Saints have 2 picks in the top 150. And Ryan Ramczyk's just broken down. Like that team is a mess. They could really do with trading back to go for picks. The Dolphins at 21, just 6 picks in this entire draft. The Bears even don't want to do it in division, but they've only got 4 in this draft. So you're going to have a lot of dance partners if you do want to go up and do it. And in Denver and New Orleans cases, we have quite close links to them as well. Peyton might want to do business with Campbell. Saints, he's been there. You've got those pre-existing relationships. So you've kind of got, if you want to go extreme to 9, or you want to go less extreme to 21, you've got spots in there where I think there's bona fide chances of you being able to get up. So, and again, yeah, it's a defensive draft. It's an offensive draft. So this is the perfect opportunity to be in the late 20s and then to push up and get someone at 20 who should be going at 10. And you're not paying the premium of going all the way up to 10 because they're getting pushed down. So I think it's a perfect year to have like a pick where we are. Because most years you would get rinsed the life out of you to go up at this point. As this year, I don't think you will.